Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This audio uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today, we're diving deep into Kathryn Stockett's novel, The Help. It's set in 1960s Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah.
And we're really going to be looking at it through the eyes of Abilene, a black maid who works for white families. I think her story, it really does bring a complex and often unspoken part of history to life.
Yeah, and you know what makes it so powerful is that we hear it in her own voice. It really gives us, I think, an authentic look at the everyday realities for black domestic workers in the Jim Crow South. You know, their struggles, their hopes, and even like those quiet acts of resistance.
Right. And right away you see Abilene, you know, she's dealing with this constant pressure of trying to just make ends meet, the rising cost of living, like the bus fare going up to 15 cents and her rent jumping to $29 a month. It just places this enormous burden on her.
Yeah. Those little details, they really hit home about just how vulnerable, economically vulnerable black maids were at that time. Often they were really trapped in this cycle of poverty, relying on their very small wages.
Yeah.
And the generosity of friends, like Ida Peak, who helps her out by sharing food from her garden.
Yeah. And then you have characters like Miss Hilly, who just use their social power to really make life so much harder for women like Minnie. I mean, Miss Hilly's lie about Minnie stealing, that has just devastating consequences for her. It basically blacklists her from being able to find work.
It's true, and it's a stark reminder of how white people could so easily just manipulate the system to control the lives of black people. What Miss Hilly does, it's not just hurtful, it's really an attack on Minnie's ability to survive. And even her safety.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
That Miss Celia enters the picture. She's really kind of a breath of fresh air.
Right.
She breaks social norms by hiring Minnie. Despite all those rumors that are going around, I mean, she's risking her own reputation to do that.
Yeah. Celia's kind of this interesting crack in the seemingly solid wall of segregation. You know, even though she has to keep Minnie being employed by her a secret from her husband. But her willingness to even quietly defy those expectations, it suggests that change is possible.
And then there's Miss Skeeter, this young white woman who's so determined to become a writer. She starts this Miss Myrna housekeeping advice column. And guess what she turns to for all the real answers? Abilene.
That's right. It's really interesting because Skeeter's column becomes this unexpected bridge between the black and white communities. Abilene's voice really shines through in all those witty and insightful answers. And it subtly challenges all those assumptions and stereotypes that a lot of white readers probably hold.
Yeah, it's a really clever way to kind of slip in those hidden truths that people don't often discuss openly. Like the story of Constantine, the maid who raised Miss Skeeter. It comes out that she actually had to have her own light-skinned daughter.
I just heartbreaks.
And it says so much about the pain and all the secrecy around racial mixing at that time.
Yeah. Constantine's story really highlights just how complex and often tragic the experiences of black mothers under segregation were. You know, forced separation of families, that fear of racial mixing. It's all part of the human cost of these really discriminatory policies.
And then, in the middle of all of this, you have the assassination of Medgar Evers, a crucial figure in the civil rights movement. The impact on Abilene and Minnie is huge. It really drives home the danger that they're facing for even daring to hope for something better.
Yeah, this is a real turning point in the novel. You know, it forces all these characters to confront this brutal reality of racism and the very real risks of challenging the way things are. It lays the groundwork for that really audacious idea of writing a book about the experiences of black maids.
A book that could potentially change everything.
That's right.
The risks are so high.
Absolutely. For everyone involved. You know, it's fascinating how The Help weaves together all these personal stories with that larger historical context. Like, we really see how events like Medgar Evers' killing actually ripple through the lives of all these women. And it makes the fight for civil rights just feel so immediate and real.
Yeah. It really makes you think about how history isn't just dates and events. It's how those events affect the lives of individuals, their fears, their hopes, and ultimately their choices. Like Abilene deciding to participate in the book project, even knowing the risks.
Right. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to do what they're doing, challenging the social norms of that time, especially in the Jim Crow South. It was really dangerous.
Yeah. And speaking of challenges, Miss Hilly's Home Help Sanitation Initiative. I mean, come on. The idea that black maids have different diseases and need separate bathrooms. It's just unbelievable.
Like, it's a perfect example of how racism can disguise itself behind this mask of concern. You know, it's not about hygiene. It's about control. and maintaining that sense of white superiority. And the help does a really amazing job of taking apart that kind of thinking.
Right. It's not just Hilly, though. It's like the book shows how those racist ideas are just woven into every part of society, from those everyday little things to the Jim Crow laws that controlled almost every aspect of their lives.
And it's what makes those small acts of resistance so powerful, like Minnie's quick wit, her refusal to back down, even her revenge with that pie, is her way of saying, I'm not going to be treated this way.
It's really inspiring to see them find ways to resist, even when those ways seem small or insignificant.
Yeah. Every act of defiance, it kind of chips away at that oppressive system.
And the book itself becomes a form of resistance, a way to get the truth out there.
Absolutely.
And challenge things.
And the reactions it gets, that fear, the anger, the denial, all reveal how deep those racist beliefs go.
One thing I found interesting is that the book doesn't try to give easy answers or solutions. It shows just how complex race relations are.
Yeah.
All the good, the bad, the love and hate, all mixed up together.
It's that honesty that makes the help feel so real. It's not a fairy tale. It's this raw, unflinching look at life in the Jim Crow South. And yet, there's still that undercurrent of hope for change, for a better future.
Right. And a lot of that hope comes from the relationship between Aibileen and Myra Mobley. Abileen's commitment to teaching her about equality, seeing people for who they are, not the color of their skin. It's such a powerful message. That change starts with each new generation.
But it's important to remember that change takes time. It's slow and often painful. And there are going to be setbacks, like when Miss Celia, despite her good intentions, reveals she's been keeping Minnie's employment a secret from her husband. It shows how even those who want to do the right thing can still be trapped by fear and prejudice.
Right. Celia's struggles highlight how deep racism runs in the system. It's not just about personal beliefs. It's about laws, institutions, everything that supports those beliefs. It takes incredible courage to break free.
And that brings us back to that audacious project of giving voice to the experiences of Black maids. The risks are huge, but the potential rewards, the chance to finally be heard, that's what keeps them going.
It's a way for these women to reclaim their own stories.
Exactly.
And challenge the stereotypes that have been forced on them for so long.
And it's by sharing those stories with each other and the world that we see the power of truth, the power of empathy, the power of connection.
That bond between Aibileen,
Yumi,
Minnie's, and Skeeter. It crosses racial lines. It shows how the human spirit can connect, even in the face of adversity.
And their collaboration highlights the importance of allyship. It shows that change needs not only the voices of those directly affected by injustice, but also those who have the privilege
and the platform
to amplify those voices.
But giving those women a platform, letting their voices be heard, the book becomes incredibly dangerous and subversive. It threatens the entire foundation of the racist power structure.
And the backlash is intense. We see those attempts to silence them, discredit them, punish them, but we also see their resilience, their determination, their belief in the power of their stories.
It reminds us that change is never easy. It takes courage, sacrifice, and a willingness to speak truth to power, even when it's dangerous.
And that's the legacy of the help. It's about the power of voice, the power of truth, and the power of hope.
Yeah. And the book also digs into the personal lives of these women, their struggles that go beyond race, like Aibileen's grief over losing her son, Minnie's problems in her marriage, Skeeter wanting a fulfilling career. It shows that their lives are complex. They're not just defined by their race or social status.
But humanizes them in a way that challenges the dehumanizing effects of racism and sexism. We see them as real people with dreams, hopes, heartaches that go beyond the limitations imposed by society.
Yeah. It reminds us that everyone has a story. And sometimes those stories can change the world. One of the things that really struck me about The Help is how it celebrates this resilience, these women finding strength in their shared experiences, in their connections with each other, and this determination to just create a better future, even when things around them are so bleak.
Yeah, that spirit of defiance, that refusal to be broken, it's what I think resonates with readers so strongly. It's a testament to the human spirit, finding hope even in the face of oppression.
And sometimes that hope comes out in the most surprising ways, like Minnie's pie incident. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Who could forget that?
A classic.
It's such a great moment of revenge.
Right.
But it also speaks to the power of humor as a form of resistance.
Right. Minnie's pie becomes this symbol of subversion, a way to just knock down Miss Hilly's control and expose her hypocrisy. It leaves you cheering for her.
Yeah, it's a moment that definitely sticks with you. And it reminds us that resistance can come in so many different forms. Even small acts of defiance can be so powerful.
Every time these women challenge the way things are, they chip away at that system of oppression.
And through all those acts of resistance, we see how these characters grow. Aibileen finds her voice. Minnie channels her anger into action. And Skeeter finds the courage to use her privilege to fight for what's right.
Yeah, and together they create something truly remarkable, a book that speaks for those who haven't been heard. It challenges those dominant narratives, and ultimately it sparks a movement for change.
The publication of the book is like this catalyst. It forces people to confront some really uncomfortable truths, to examine their own beliefs,
Right.
and to consider the perspectives of those they've been taught to ignore.
Yeah, and while the book doesn't shy away from the really harsh realities of racism, it also celebrates the beauty of human connection. That bond between Aibileen, Minnie, and Skeeter, it transcends race and class, showing how empathy and understanding can actually exist, even in the most divided societies.
It's the heart of the help, this reminder that change is possible, hope remains, and love. Love can overcome even the deepest hate.
You know, this deep dive, it's just a small glimpse into Aibileen's world and all the incredible women.
In the help.
To really get the full experience, to understand their struggles, and feel the power of their triumphs, we encourage you to read the book. You can find a link to buy it in the episode description. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful deep dives into these captivating stories. Until next time, keep those mindful moments going.